What is up, guys? Taiki here. Welcome to the market update for this week. I was busy on Monday and I wasn't feeling that great Tuesday, so I'm just making this video today, but we have a lot of content to cover, so let's get right into it. We'll start this video with a little bit of a pop quiz, right? If you've enrolled in the Taiki School of Humble Farming, then you should know the answer to this question, but I have to test you guys, right? Once in a while. So spot something bullish here. Okay, and tell me the reason why. I'll give you 10 seconds. Just think of it in your head, and let's see if you get it. Right? I guess there's like not much to look into, so it's not that difficult. But I guess like the bullish thing here, right, is if you look down here, we see that UST has $500 million, right, in this UST 3 pool on Curve, whereas 3 Curve has $800 million. So it's unbalanced by roughly $300 million. And this is bullish, the entire market. Well, it's bullish Luna and BTC, but obviously anything that's bullish BTC is going to be incrementally bullish the rest of the market, right? Because Bitcoin kind of dictates the health of the entire market. And this is because of how the Luna Foundation Guard and how they purchase Bitcoin, like how they actually acquire Bitcoin, right? Because they can't just mint UST out of thin air and use that UST to buy Bitcoin with it. There has to be a mechanism in place where they can only buy Bitcoin when there's an increased demand for UST, which is kind of what's happening here. Actually, if you look at it right now, it's even more unbalanced. There is $453 million worth of UST and $850 million worth of 3 Curve. So it's unbalanced by $400 million. So going back to this post from March 9th by the LFG, they mentioned that, whenever they, or I guess like the only way they can buy Bitcoin is when the Curve pool is unbalanced, so they can mint UST, dump it into the UST 3 Curve, and then withdraw USDC or Tether from the other side. So what they can do, because it's unbalanced by $400 million, they can dump $200 million with the UST and withdraw $200 million worth of 3 Curve, and voila, it's balanced again. And with that $200 million, they can buy more Bitcoin. So far, they've acquired roughly $1.75 billion in Bitcoin, and they haven't purchased Bitcoin in like 9.5 days. So I don't know what's up with that. But just imagine a scenario in the future. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's a week from now, where Do Kwon comes out of his cave and is like, all right, bears are fucked again. I'm going shopping. Let's go. Right? Like die will die by my hand. Right? So I think that's gonna be incrementally bullish. At the end of the day, right? They have $500 million, and it's going to go up like $750 million of dollars. It's not that much buy pressure, right? But it's all about the narrative, right? It's all about the bull posting. We love the bull posting around here. So just strong narratives there. Okay, but yeah, and I guess it's also like incrementally bullish Luna too, because the reason the Curve pool is unbalanced is because there's like a lot of demand for UST, right? It just means that like market participants have been buying a lot of UST and swapping USDC or USDT for UST. And you can kind of see the burn rate there. I sold some Luna 2 weeks ago just because, like whenever USN got announced and, the burn rate kind of was slowing down. But, Luna always proves me wrong, or UST always proves me wrong, I guess. And it's just burning a lot of UST here, right? Yeah. Okay, so speaking of which, let's kind of go over NEAR, right, in USN, because, this article, right, I talked about this article last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever I did so. I think last week, about the future is near, an investment thesis by Mr. Zoran Cole, Captain Cole. And he kind of dropped the bomb last week, or 14 days ago, when he mentioned that, NEAR is going to announce the launch of their own native algo stablecoin, USN, in partnership with other well-capitalized stablecoins. They're going to offer 20% APR roughly, which will ignite DeFi capital rotation into the NEAR ecosystem, siphoning TVL from other Alt L1 protocols. And I kind of agree, right? The thing is, Captain Cole, who isn't really affiliated with NEAR, mentioned this, and the NEAR Foundation never confirmed this. So, I was always operating under the assumption that this was true, but always, I guess, kind of careful because, the NEAR Foundation never confirmed it. But today, it was confirmed. And I guess, like, the one thing that people got too hyped on was that, I guess, like, I thought it was going to launch today, but looking back on this article, he mentioned that NEAR will announce the launch of their native algo stablecoin. So that's kind of what happened. So Decentral Bank, which is going to be the issuer of USN, That's confirmed. Just posted this, right? USN is near April something 2022. So it's not today. It's going to be sometime in the next 9 days, because either the 21st or the 22nd, 29th, like whatever, right? Given how the Near Foundation works, right? They're more of like a Web2 company that's trying to, create a more user-friendly experience for Web3. So given that, I don't think they're gonna launch something like on a Thursday or Friday. I think it's more likely that they launch something earlier next week or something. But I mean, to be honest, I have no idea. But I guess, this isn't technically a delay, right? I guess Zoran Cole was correct in that, it was announced, but April 20 something. I still think it's going to be a bullish catalyst for Near, right? The 20% is still unconfirmed, but given that, he got this thing right, I'm assuming that the 20% is correct as well. But we'll see. I think 20% yield on, an algo stablecoin that's going to be, over collateralized to begin with. It's going to be considered to be safe by the market, right? As long as it's backed by, they raised a bunch of money from VCs, right? So it's going to be like backed by Jump Crypto, 3AC and whatnot. And whatever your thoughts are on algo stablecoins, it doesn't really matter, right? Money will still flow into the ecosystem, and when money flows into the ecosystem, the TVL of the ecosystem grows. It creates like a bullish sentiment, like a narrative, right? For it, it's like, oh my god, TVL is going up. Oh, I'll pump my bags, right? Just because USN goes up doesn't mean that all coins are going to go up, right? But crypto is driven on narratives. If USN reaches a multi-billion-dollar market cap over the next couple of months or so, it's still going to be a bullish catalyst. And speaking of, I guess, non-bullish catalysts, there's been this rumor of this vesting schedule on the 22nd of April of a 1% unlock. So I don't know why this is a thing now. It's being shared by a lot of people, and I think it came from this account, and I think they admitted that they were wrong on this, or they posted this without confirming it. But Kendo confirmed this, where there isn't going to be a 1% unlock on the 22nd of April because these Near unlocks, right, from seed investors and whatnot, it's unlocked linearly every single block, right? So yes, investors are getting tokens every single day, right? Every single second. But it's not going to be April 22nd, a bunch of tokens land into the hands of investors and they're going to dump on us, right? If they wanted to dump on us, they can do it now, right? They don't have to do it the 22nd or the 23rd. They can do it now if they wanted to. So I'm not saying that the unlocks are false. It's happening every day, but it's not it's not a cliff. You can actually confirm this in this Near article, right? Token supply and distribution. This kind of goes over the linear vesting schedule, right? That Near goes through. And I can link this in the description, but if the VCs want to dump on us, they'll dump on us now, right? Or the seed investors or whoever participated. So April 22nd isn't really a significant date, but maybe, who knows, right? Maybe they will dump on us, who knows? There's no way for me to know. Okay, lastly, there has been more news about incentives for the Near and Aurora ecosystem. Proximity Labs, which is a DeFi incubator for Near and Aurora, right? Under the I guess that's under the Near Foundation umbrella. They gave a grant to Bastion, right? More money for Bastion, and they mentioned that expect some juicy Near Aurora rewards over the next few weeks. So that's happening, and also Origami, which is the other compound fork on the Aurora ecosystem. I guess got $2.5 million worth of Near rewards, and they're going to be distributing this in the next couple of weeks, right? From the 22nd of April to the 6th of May. And they're going to be giving this out to depositors, right? So if you lend out your assets, you're going to get these tokens. And assuming that the current TVL, right, current liquidity, they're going to estimate roughly 14 to 42% APR for Near. So if you go to the application, obviously these rewards aren't live yet, but on top of these, APRs, right, these deposit APRs, so let's just look into USDC. On top of 4% USDC and a bunch of these Ply tokens, you're going to receive 14 to 42% in Near. So, humble farmer thesis, money markets that are trusted with incentive programs, that should drive more TVL into the ecosystem. It's kind of been happening, right? If you actually check, I guess the entire, DeFi Llama, right? TVL growth, Near is outperforming, right? Most chains. I thought Aura was going to hit $1 billion TVL in when is this? in Q1. But I think with the Russia-Ukraine invasion, it kind of delayed these launches from happening. But I guess I was wrong on that, but I'm still holding strong, I guess. And I guess compared to the ecosystem, right, when I first started covering near in early January, there's actually a lot of applications now. To be honest, none of these applications are that amazing, right? At least not yet, right? Maybe it will be at some time in the future. And I never expected some crazy killer app to launch on Aura, right? I just expected TVL growth on Aura through these incentive programs. And USN is an incentive program, right? Because it's going to be subsidized by VCs. Anchor, right? USD, Luna is an incentive program, right? Because it's subsidized. So incentive programs doesn't necessarily have to mean literal near tokens into your wallets. It can just be in the form of subsidized stablecoin yields. And I guess the benefit that these new L1s have is that they can look back into what happened in the past 12 months and adjust how they distribute incentives, by studying what happened before. If you go back to my video that I recorded with Luigi from AVAX, I think August or September, he mentioned that they've studied how Matic did it, right? How Polygon distributed their $150 million incentive program, and they took their learnings and applied it to Avalanche Rush, and Avalanche is a legitimate ecosystem. And similarly, I think the Near team, right, and the Near Foundation studied what happened for Avalanche, Polygon, Luna, and was okay, we're gonna take some I guess influence of how UST and Luna did it. We're also gonna take how learnings from how AVAX did it, and then bam, we're gonna start giving out money to people. Hopefully that brings more TVL into the ecosystem, and as TVL grows into the ecosystem, it's going to increase velocity right within the ecosystem. More transactions are going to happen, more wallets are going to be created. So that's kind of the humble farmer thesis, and you can kind of see this in the bridging data, right, for Aura. It's okay. It's more green than red, right? But the total dollar value isn't that much, to be honest. But it's green, right? That's all I care about. So there's that. Okay. Another incentive program, right? That is happening right now is on Avalanche, right? This is AAVE V3. If you've been using AAVE on Avalanche, you're probably using V2. And I think the V2 incentives got deprecated, and all the rewards are going to V3. So these rewards are pretty good, right? So, Aura isn't the only chain with good incentive programs. Avalanche is still, giving out tokens. So if you're interested in these rates, I would suggest you look into them. And, these are pretty good rates given 3.23 billion TVL. So, it's not going to get diluted anymore or any further. I don't know when this is going to end, but, still pretty good, the APRs. Lastly, I kind of want to touch on Optimism, right? The ETH-L2 token. I still think ETH Layer 2 is a meme, right? The technology still isn't ready yet. I remember back in March of last year, right, over a year ago actually, they were okay guys, we're gonna launch Optimism soon, next week, let's get ready. And then it's April 2022, and there still isn't that much activity on Optimism. To be honest, that's fine, right? And we all know that at some point, right, further into the development of ETH Layer 2, it's gonna be a thriving ecosystem. It's gonna lock up probably 10, 11 figures in TVL at some point. But right now, right, there's not that much activity, right? Ask yourself, who do you know? Do you know anyone that uses Optimism or Arbitrum actively? I'm deep into the crypto space, and I can't even count 5 people that actively use Optimism or Arbitrum. But I know a bunch of people that use Arbitrum and whatnot, right? So I think one of the problems that ETH Layer 2 has is they don't really have a token, right? There's no incentive program, so there really isn't an incentive for people like you and I to bridge over to Arbitrum and Optimism, especially because the fees on Arbitrum and Optimism is much higher than Avalanche or Aura. But I can't see a bullish catalyst, right? Because if you scroll down to this new chapter aspect, they mentioned that we're nearing the end of the chapter and beginning of the next, one driven by community ownership and governance. It's fast approaching, more on this soon. So this, definitely means that they're gonna have a token. They're probably gonna airdrop it. I would assume that they've already taken snapshots. So if I still suggest, if you haven't done so, bridging to Optimism just to, maybe be eligible, maybe do a few swaps and whatnot. But, if I was Optimism, I would take the snapshot and then say this. So I would say maybe that's like a less than a 10% chance that they're gonna, they haven't taken a snapshot. But I would still do it, right? Just to test it out. And I feel like everyone should expect this, right? I think Optimism, of course, this is basically confirmed. And I think Arbitrum will also have a token, because if you think about, VCs in crypto, right? For example, Andreessen Horowitz and other VCs, I think Paradigm and Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, they've, poured a lot of money into Optimism, $150 million, right? Back in March 2022 at a $1.65 billion valuation. So you have to think about, like, how are these VCs going to make money, right? Because unless this is like an equity investment and they're going to IPO at some point, or they're going to like transfer equity, like sell equity and whatnot, like you can't really make money. So you should have always expected a token to launch for Optimism and Arbitrum. So I don't really know how they're going to launch and whatnot, but if they launch at like roughly like a $2 billion fully diluted valuation, I feel like it's going to be a really good buy. I really doubt that, right? Given the valuation of ETH right now and the valuation of alternative L1s, it ranges from like $10 to $40 billion. I would expect them to, launch at those valuations. And given that, even Optimism and Arbitrum, they use ETH as gas, I'm not really sure where the demand for these tokens are going to come from. Maybe they're going to be a bunch of, I guess, incentives and I guess like liquidity pools that are going to use like the Optimism token. Who knows? But if you're bullish on ETH L2, right, this is definitely good news. And if Optimism has incentive programs and like quality applications, I'll definitely bridge. I'll definitely use it. I'll definitely try it out. But right now, there's really no point, right? Other than bridging it, hopefully to get a snapshot. So that's about it. That's all I wanted to cover. I'm just I'm just waiting patiently on near USN. I feel like I've been farming here for so long, so like who knows? I don't necessarily think we're like that early anymore. I feel like 3-4 months ago, like no one was talking about it, and like now people have like like $100 price targets or something. There's my exit liquidity, I guess. But let's talk about narratives. To be honest, like these light tailwinds that I have can definitely be strong tailwinds or heavy tailwinds. But I was wrong on like the Luna Foundation guard buying Bitcoin, being like a super strong narrative. I mean, it was a strong narrative, but the market dumped. But you can also argue that like if they weren't buying Bitcoin, right, Bitcoin would be at like a much lower valuation right now. So I mean, it's definitely like incrementally built. I mean, there's no way this is like bearish, right? At least in the short term. ETH 2.0 emerged. I mean, people were talking about this coming in like June or something, but now people are saying August, September, October. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes like 2023. But there is confluence, right, with Optimism launching a token, ETH 2.0 coming sometime soon, Coinbase NFT beta launching, Solana, right, having OpenSea and whatnot. Actually, Solana there's like no connection there, so that doesn't make any sense. But ETH 2.0, I don't think it's priced in. I think it's going to be one of those things where 2 months before it's going to be super hyped up. It's going to be a solid news. So whatever profits that I have, right, on my other plays, I'm most likely going to rotate it into ETH, stables, and NFTs. I'm looking into NFTs more, but that's a topic for another video in the future. And USN, 20% is still unconfirmed, but I'm assuming it's going to be correct. And I think this is going to be super strong, given that anchor rates are going to lower on May 1st, most likely. I don't think this is bearish UST by any means, right? I mean, if you just look at the data, right, they're still like burning a bunch of UST, and obviously UST has more Lindy. It's been around longer, so 18% on Anchor versus 20% on like USN. I still think some money will flow into Anchor, but I do think that incremental dollars, right? So imagine if a trader like makes $100,000, maybe prior to USN launching, all of that would have gone into Anchor, but maybe now some of that, like maybe 80% goes into USN and 20%, like you kind of get what I'm talking about. So I don't think people are going to leave Anchor, right, to go to USN because you have to pay bridging fees. It's not really worth, the incremental 2% really isn't worth it. But I still think USN is going to hit like a multi-billion-dollar market cap over the next couple of months. I don't really know how it's going to launch. I don't really know how the minting mechanism is going to go. Because I know UST, I think the max mint for UST per day is like somewhere in the low 9 figures, right? Maybe $100 to $200 million. I'm assuming because USN is so new, it's going to grow at a slower pace. But if USDN, right, from waves can get to $1 billion market cap, then I feel like USN, which is like much more well capitalized with much stronger backer, a stronger team, can easily hit at least like 2-3 billion. But I don't have a time frame on that. Nothing else has changed. I added this, right? The Crabada bots driving Avalanche gas. If you go to Snowtrace, the Avalanche block explorer, on any given day, like roughly 30 to 60% of of transactions are coming from Crabada, right? And it's kind of disincentivizing people like myself, especially if you have a smaller wallet, from using the Avalanche chain, just because it's so expensive. And when I say expensive, it's only like a few dollars, right? Depending on the complexity of the smart contract. But it is what it is. I feel like this isn't really like bearish, right? In fact, you can also argue this to be bullish, because this kind of shows you like how important subnets are, right? DeFi Kingdom's chain having its own subnet, because once Crabada gets its own subnet in early May, all that activity is going to go into the Crabada subnet, which is going to free up a lot of block space for DeFi users on the C chain. So I just have it here, right? Just because, I just feel like less people are going to use Avalanche, because all that block space is going to the bots. But just here, right? To be honest, like, I don't think this is even a headwind, right? I still think Avalanche is a really good chain, scaling horizontally via subnets. I think that, application specific blockchains, I like it, right? All right. So that's the end of the video. Hopefully Do Kwon starts bull posting, right? Like, I miss those bull posts, right? I really miss those bull posts. So like, hopefully he starts it again. And yeah, so yeah, thank you guys for watching. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, I'll link a bunch of things in the description below. So, you won't, in case you want to check for these things yourself. But thank you guys for watching, and have fun farming out there. And yeah.